Right.
So I'm assuming you probably cover like a region for Cigna that.
Yeah, I have Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, Arizona, and Wyoming. So
Okay.
So it's all super close. I mean, hour flights here and there. Yeah, I'm actually learning. So I was with Kaiser for about 5 years, just in Colorado, before I joined Cigna. So learning the other states and some of the legislatures and that sort of thing. So trying to make my way around a little bit.
Crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Interesting how different it is from one state to the
It
next.
really is. Yeah, very different processes everywhere that you go. And the political makeup, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although that can change.
Yes.
One accusation.
Yes, indeed.
Right?
No.
We've got plenty of those in Colorado, that's for sure.
Sure we get it here.
Yep.
In fact, we do, down in Utah County. County commissioner that's been accused.
Is that right?
And everybody's, calling for his resignation, right, Brian?
Mm-hmm.
Brian lives in Utah County. Yeah.
Yep.
We've had 4 or 5 state legislators at this point have been accused. Supposedly more on the way.
Well, the hard thing now is it, because it seems to range all the way from he asked me on a date
Right.
to actual like physical sexual battery or assault, right? Like,
Right.
and it seems like everybody's just kind of taking all of those as the same thing, which there's a huge difference.
Huge difference.
So yeah, it's kind of gotten out of control a little bit, and everybody's like proven or guilty till proven innocent too, right? So I don't know. I heard the other day that there was this group of women that had come out for rules on what you can actually say to a woman now. Like you have to follow these rules, or if not, then it's like de facto sexual harassment.
Which is, I'm a woman. It always swings way too far.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, and it will, I think,
gotta
for
be
a while
moderation.
until it comes back, but.
But I've talked to some female lobbyists who are very concerned about even their ability to get access to a legislator. There are legislators now who won't meet with a female lobbyist unless there are at least 2 other people in the room.
Right.
Can you blame them? They don't want to get accused of
Right.
anything.
You can't
Certainly
blame
not, but
Yeah.
I don't.
And then on the other hand, you've got these, Weinstein guys.
Right.
Who
The
has
which,
dozens.
right.
And he still won't admit guilt. Because he feels like he's so elevated above it all.
Yes, and there certainly has been a huge problem, right? Legitimate.
And everybody's known that for decades,
Yeah.
especially in Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
People
Well,
have known it for
and I
decades.
think in politics, it's always, anytime you have
Yeah.
power
Yep.
with someone, there's gonna be people
sure.
that will abuse it. And guys like Weinstein who
Right. And he feels so powerful, he doesn't even have to admit that he did anything wrong.
Right.
It's just part of it. Hey, Travis.
Hey, Travis.
Hey, nice to meet you, Travis. Jake Winter, Blue Cross. Okay, the Cigna. Nice to meet you.
Cold in here.
I know. I was just thinking about how this is.
I know. On the 21st?
Tomorrow, maybe, huh?
Shifted
Yeah.
a little bit since when
Yeah.
Used to be snow after Halloween. Now it's a few months later, but also in the springtime, I think there's snow stays longer than it used to. Yeah.
Like we've actually changed, shifted seasons a little.
Yeah.
We don't get our snow till January, and now it's through April before May.
Right.
It's crazy. Yeah, kids that play outdoor sports in the spring. And this is no fun if you can't watch them in the snow, right?
I always remember I grew up in Meadow Falls, 3 hours from here. There's spring baseball starting when there was still just a little bit of snow outside, but now I imagine there's still a lot of snow when that season rolls around.
Yeah. Last year, my son, we were in Colorado, in Fort Collins.
Okay.
Played lacrosse in a blizzard.
Yep.
It was insane. Insane. First weekend, second weekend in April.
And that seems to be the heaviest snow.
Second group here, is this?
And soccer.
Hey,
Jacob?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Games start
touch
in
the elbows
March.
with you, I got a little
No
bit of a
worries, I
cold, and
appreciate
So
that.
it's cold.
I don't wanna give you
I actually
more
coach,
than what you came to
so-
Utah.
I appreciate that.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, I'm like,
Where's the-
I look
where's
at
the
that
box?
schedule every year, I'm like, really?
Where's everybody? I was
Yeah.
the first car over there, and I was like, where's everyone?
You were the first holy
I
car?
really like that.
Yeah,
The holy car.
holiest of
Yeah,
cars.
it's fun.
It's really holy anymore.
Quite a while when I was a kid.
It was fine.
Actually.
Yeah, not too bad. I had a little delay. I flew in last night, and
Hi, Doug Springmeyer joining.
it's
Oh,
okay.
hey, Doug. Doug's on the phone, apparently.
Mr. Doug. How are ya?
Good, thanks. Sorry that I'm not able to be there in person. I've got another commitment right at 10 o'clock, and I thought it would be more efficient not to have to leave the meeting early to travel.
Sounds good.
Whatever works, huh?
That's why we have a Colin, right? Were you able to pull down the packet from the website, Doug?
I was. I'll call the meeting to order. Has anyone else approved or reviewed the minutes? And if so, we're ready for a motion to approve.
I don't know if we have a quorum, do we?
Yeah, let's see. We got Doug, you 4 out of 8.
We need one more.
Yeah, we need one more. We need to postpone that, Doug, because we need one more here. Is there anybody else on the line?
Mark said he was today, I think.
Okay. We need to postpone that, Mr. President.
All right, so we don't have a quorum. Don't have any special guests, I'm assuming, Kelly?
That's correct.
So Tina, do you have a compliance committee report?
He's not here.
Not here yet, but we have John who's about to walk in the door.
So we can approve the minutes as soon as he sits down. Okay,
Yeah, we
John,
can close them. I opened them just because it was so cold.
We're waiting
in
for
here
you to
a few
approve the
ago,
minutes,
but
John.
It's warming up a little, I think.
you want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, if any? So Michael, I think the minutes are approved unanimously. I think we're back to you, Tina.
Not here.
Tina's not in the room today, so
Is she coming?
Any follow-up from any of the rules that were discussed with the UID on Wednesday? Any members have any issues there they'd like to bring up?
well, I thought Brett gave a great presentation on the Guaranteed Association. I thought that was well. Thanks for agreeing to let him do that, Doug, because I thought that was well worth the participation. There's been some questions of what the NCIA would do, National NAIC. Yeah, I got to get the acronym correct, but there's been some questions of what they would do, and I think he made it perfectly clear what they were going to do. So,
It's just what Representative Dunnigan might do.
yeah, it's just that's a question. I think Dunnigan's on a different page than they are, but I thought that was very valuable from my standpoint.
Just so you all know, I mean, went back to my office and talked a little bit to some folks, including Mark Banks, you know. One of the, and we don't have to belabor it, but one of the, I think, strange things about this 75-25 split is, you know, a life carrier to sell long-term care, you have to be licensed as a life and health insurer. You have to have a life and health license.
No kidding.
Yeah. I mean, because long-term care is health. It's health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
You pay claim. We get a claim, we pay it or deny
I
it.
think a lot of insurers, certainly a while back, got whole life and health, right?
Yeah, I think most probably are
Right,
both
so.
licenses, both.
Right.
And that guarantee association is called the Life and Health Guarantee
Right.
Association. So
It's kind of weird to me that they split it at all, why the whole thing's not together, but,
yeah. Well, typically, if it's a life, well, how would that work? Anyway,
well, if it's considered a life product, then it's just.
it's just life premium
insurance.
that gets assessed, yeah. Or a life carrier, you know, those products sell, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
the long-term care is really kind of an anomaly though, right? Because you have life insurers primarily selling it,
but it's life
but
and
it's
health.
a health
It's life and
product.
health. You have a life and health license.
Right. So.
And so you want to carve it out.
So has anyone talked to Dunnigan? Has he said where he's going, or
Well,
or at least that he's
Dunnigan and the
going,
Guaranteed Association, those of you that attended the Guarantee Association, you were there, Trav. I think he made it pretty clear where he was gonna be at the 75-25.
Do you?
I
was
think he
in the
made,
meeting. I didn't.
you didn't sense that? Did you sense
think it
that?
was clear.
Travis,
I
you were
wouldn't
there,
be
weren't you?
surprised if he did. I think he's worried that he's gonna get a huge fight from Select if he doesn't.
That's exactly what he's worried about.
I think ACLI will probably come in pretty strong.
Yeah,
Oh,
right. They'll just say, well, it's off the table, right? I'm sure that's gonna be their response. Does Cigna have a position on it, or?
So we're running the same legislation, actually a 50-50 split in Colorado, which we've agreed with ACLI on. We're doing the same thing in Arizona, I think, at this point. So, I mean, we certainly strongly support including HMOs and, I mean, the closest to 50-50 split that we can get to. I actually have a meeting this afternoon, Representative Dunnigan as well, and that's at the top of my list, so.
When you get done with that, Jacob, I'd appreciate your read, another read on whether or not you think he's as firmly fixed as.
Well, he definitely didn't say I'm all in on 50-50 for sure.
Yeah.
But I couldn't really tell personally that, but. it seemed
Yeah,
to me
unfortunately,
like
I
he's still
missed that last
considering it,
But
So,
yeah,
Trav,
Jacob,
do you have
I'd be
any
interested
read on that?
too, if you.
Sure, I'm happy to update the group, yeah.
Oh, Steve, yeah, I thought you were at the last one too. Yeah, my take on that is he's pretty fixed because he's really worried what Intermountain is going to do on it. And in this market, Intermountain's the 800-pound gorilla. I mean, they put a lot of money out to legislators. Legislators are pretty heavily invested. So it's going to be interesting. I really believe, like I said yesterday, I really believe that Intermountain, they don't think that they're going to end up at 75. But they're not going to start. They're not starting at 50. They're saying, look, we'd rather see that line a little closer to what the line that United is, the actual costs associated with it. So.
And I'm not sure we can really rely on United's number, and graphs and charts. I mean, I'm a little more comfortable with Art Dummer's. I mean, I've looked at some of what Art.
Arch used those numbers though.
His aren't too different, really.
Arch
Not too
used
much.
the same
Well,
numbers as United. That he hasn't used any. In fact, his charts are exactly the same. All he's done, Art's brilliant. I have total respect for him. I served on that Guarantee Association for 3 or 4 years. I have total respect. He's one brilliant guy. But what Art's done, he's broken out. If it's 50-50, if it's 75-25, I mean, that's the work that he's done based on whatever the model is, what the individual companies, what they'll bear, their costs that they'll bear. I think that's been very insightful, you know. Of course, this is an issue, I think you'll agree with this, Doug, this is an issue, in my estimation, that goes before the legislature, where the companies are going to fall out based on their financial pocketbooks. They're going to say, what do I support? Most companies aren't going to say, you know, altruistically, I'm going to support something that's going to hurt me financially. They're just not going to do it. It's the nature of our business is you want to stay in the marketplace and you want to bear little expense from these kind of collapses. I also understand a lot of companies are saying, you know, at the front of the line is IHC on this. There wasn't a company around this table that didn't think Arches is going to go under from the get-go. I mean, from the get-go. And they're saying, we see these companies that use these business models that are just irresponsible, and then we end up having to haul them out. You know, what's wrong with this picture? So I'm hearing a lot of that. So it's kind of interesting.
For HMOs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So HMOs are currently outside of the Guarantee Association, so it's primarily Select Health.
Well, that's what Select's saying.
Yeah.
Select is saying,
And it's a
why should
persuasive
we?
argument, right? We had to bail out Arches. We got stuck with 90% of that bill, and then we're gonna have to turn around with Genworth and get stuck with half of that bill or
Yeah.
more. So it's, I think that's probably gonna play well with the legislature, not to mention how big their lobby is and things.
Yeah.
So, that, I mean, Dunnigan's probably got a legitimate concern there on how to approach this. So I think
He's saying,
From their perspective,
Yeah.
meaning.
he's saying if you want HMOs in, which he does, and the commissioner does, okay,
I think that's a bigger priority for them than how to split the LTC.
It is.
right?
If we want them in there, how are we going to get them in there? And what IHC is saying is we're not coming in if our freight is more than 25%. That's what they're saying.
25% for a long-term care failure.
Right. That's what they're saying.
It's very nice to be able to, let's carve up the market then. How about a disability?
John, I'm not.
How much are they willing to take for disability?
You know that I don't have
let's say 90-10, or,
you know that I don't have a.
I think that's where you go.
They're out now, so they say, we'll stay out.
Well, stay out. I'd be fine with that. So in fact, for the industry as a whole, it might be, if Select goes down, that would ever happen. What would the industry do?
Well, Utah would be it'd be devastated because of the percentage. So,
And I don't see that
whether they're in or out.
Well, you never know. You know, I heard that AT&T was always going to be, we don't have a crystal ball of what's going to happen.
No,
all I'm saying
I think
is,
you need HMOs in it because
that's all I'm saying.
You need HMOs in it.
The commissioner has been pretty emphatic based on the failure of Arches that he wants and the other thing that's irritated the commissioner is all the babble by Intermountain that they can't be assessed by. I mean, they've said basically, you can't assess us on Arches. And,
Right, that might be a battle.
And he's
right.
he's livid about it. I mean, when I went
But
to
at
lunch,
the same time, they
he
keep
was livid about
saying we get the full hit on arches,
Yeah.
and, I mean, they know. They know they're getting assessed, and they're.
Well, okay, so,
But that doesn't.
and I don't know, I could keep talking about this.
We can't tell, John.
No, because I just think it's like, we'll be in, but we want to do it in our own way, and which is normal for them.
Right.
But, so if it's 75-25, where, for a long-term care failure, where does long-term care premium fall? 75% or the 25%?
What do you mean?
Well, they're saying we want a 75-25 split in the event of a long-term care failure. Typically, you know, since the dawn of time, long-term care is health insurance. So if we're assessed for a long-term care failure, you take everyone's long-term care premium is part of the 25% assessment because it's health insurance. So if I understand this right, so therefore the 75% assessment would go to life insurance premium only, right?
Right.
Or are they saying 70, excuse me, I gotta figure this out. The 75% includes life insurance premium, and we're gonna take long-term care, which is health insurance, but we're gonna move that over into the 75%. So we'll assess a life carrier who sells inequitable, but now we're not a huge player, but we'll assess a life and health carrier who sells both life insurance premium and long-term care premium. You know, you'll be assessed 75% based on your life premium and so you see what I'm saying? Where does long-term care, if you want to divide it up,
I
where
wonder
does
if
long-term care go?
the ACLI is worried that it would get switched to be considered a life product.
I think my assumption is that the long-term care premium, you'd be assessed based on your life premium, 75%.
Well, it's a carve out, right?
And
for the
long-term
care. They're just saying we're only going to treat long-term care this way. We're going to split that up. That's what they're doing, right? We're going to.
Yeah, it's just long-term
Right.
care, right?
But I wonder if ACLI is worried that if we don't do the 50-50 or agree to that, they're going to say, let's just move long-term care over and consider it, put it under life. And then we'll get the whole.
I guess that's true. Maybe that's true. I don't know whether currently under the model where it's 50-50, where does long-term care fall? I believe it would fall still under health insurance, you see.
I think that you're right.
Well, it's still going to be a health product. Who else is on? Is that Mark?
Hi, guys. This is Mark. Yeah. As far as I understand it, I can throw in my 2 cents. Sorry I'm late. Hi, everyone. Right now.
Sorry, Mark, I'm on.
Yeah. This is really only for the sake of guarantee association. So forget all other state statutes definitions, but the Model State Guarantee Association Act classifies long-term care as a health product. So it's just got to fall in one of two buckets, right, John? It's either got to be a life or it's got to be a health to be part of the guarantee association. We'll leave P&C out of it for now. So it falls under the health bucket. What the assessment mechanism will do is make sure that, let's say there's $100 million total assessment, that, you know, under the national proposal, it'll be 50-50. Under Select's proposal, $75 million of that would be assessed on the life carrier bucket and $25 million on the health. So if you do write in both, which, you know, Aetna writes in both, we have some life insurance as well, you will potentially have, you know, end up paying out of both buckets. But the idea is to make a distribution based on some ratio, 50-50 or 75-25 on the buckets as a whole. So even today, like with, you know, in Colorado when the co-op went under and the life assessment was only, 13 or 15%, a very small majority, or excuse me, a very small slice. You know, those carriers did it on a proportion of the life premium. Does that make sense? So it's just about getting the distribution correct between the two buckets, not necessarily any one carrier and trying to figure out having them pay a particular percentage. It'll still be based on premium in the bucket that you're being assessed in.
Under the proposal, Mark, is my understanding, I mean, that's how you just articulated that was my understanding. But under the proposal, is it irrespective of whether they sell long-term care product or not? It is, isn't it? It's irrespective. In other words, it doesn't matter if there's a failure in the marketplace and my health company did not sell long-term care, I'm still assessed for their failure.
Correct. And that's actually the
Right.
original problem that was identified by United on a national level was the fact that for years, long-term care had been categorized and called a health insurance product. But when you look at the actual numbers, it's not sold by health insurance as we all know it in the real world. It's not sold by health insurance companies. It's just a categorization.
No, but by life, but by
Right.
carriers who have a life and health license.
Correct.
But see, Mark, my question is, so long-term care, it's almost like you need a chart and you have to look at it. But using your example of a $100 million assessment, so if it's I still have a question about where long-term care premium fits. I mean, typically it would be in health, part of your health insurance, right?
It will stay in health.
Right.
They said that. It definitely falls under.
Okay,
health.
so that's why the 75-25 split is a bit odd to me, because, as we talk about it, because let's take Mark's example of a $100 million assessment. That means 75 million will be assessed to life, to those based on, it doesn't matter who. I mean, you can call me whatever my name, my company name, Equitable Life and Casualty. 75 million will be assessed across life insurance premium only.
Correct.
25 million will be assessed to health insurers, which include long-term care. You see, so it's odd that for a long-term care failure, you're going to shrink the long-term care, a carrier who sold long-term care insurance, you're going to shrink that carrier's assessment.
Except realistically.
50-50.
Yeah, so
Realistic.
for what it's worth, Aetna's right there, it's a 50-50 split. But John, I think the thing that you're missing though in that example is you say you're going to shrink it, but realistically what we know in the real world is that the life companies are the ones actually writing it. So you're shrinking the category, but not the actual applicability of who actually wrote the business, who actually is writing long-term care in the real world.
Yeah, that's true, but it's again, when what we're talking about is you have to have a life and health license to long-term care. You have to be licensed as both. So Mark, take for example Genworth. Genworth sells a lot of life insurance, and they have previously and historically have sold a lot of long-term care insurance. So you're in the 75-25 split in Utah. You're going to assess for Genworth. Well, let's say somebody else fails, not Genworth. Somebody else.
Right.
There's another long-term care, right? So there's another long-term care. Or okay, let's say it was a Penn Treaty under this new law. So you'd assess Genworth 75 million of you'd look at Genworth's life premium only to assess them within the 75 million that goes to all your life care and life insurance premium. Whereas all the long-term care that they wrote will just get a 25.
Yeah, but that's
will
a
be
lot
the 25%.
smaller than their life insurance. So
What's a lot smaller?
their long-term care. So
It is? You mean their long-term care premium?
Well-
I have no idea how that's split up. They wrote a lot of both.
But
John Hancock.
But percentage-wise, their health in the, if you're just looking at the health side, is pretty small. But if you do it the other split and you bring in all their life and premium, then they're gonna take a much bigger, brunt of this than people who just are selling health insurance.
No.
Because most of them are not selling any long-term care. Most health insurers are not doing any long-term.
Well, that's where so that's what Mark and I were talking about. It's life and health. You have to have a life and health.
Right, but most most of the companies here are not selling long-term care. It's mostly life companies that are selling it. That's the issue.
I mean, that's true. But that's why the 50-50 split makes sense to me.
So-
The 75-20 doesn't, 25 doesn't.
John,
Because
have you taken a look at Art's?
I have
Didn't he
briefly.
say
I
about
Have you taken a look at that?
like
Okay, well,
90% of the
spend some time
long-term
on that,
care?
because all I'm gonna tell you is, that's
There
my
are
point
huge
early
numbers.
on. That was my point early on. This is not, you can try to, logically argue the point. It comes down to the fact that what companies like Intermountain is saying is, what's our bottom line here? If there's a failure, how much money are we going to be putting out? And what IHC has decided is a 75-25 model is much more favorable to them than the 50-50 model. It's a simple financial equation.
There's a fairness to it too. I mean, they're also saying it's not us health insurers that sold long-term care, it's the life. Yet we're gonna be the ones stuck with it, not the life people, even though 90-something% of it was written by life companies.
I'm not gonna, unless you guys tell me differently as a board, I'm not gonna get into that argument, because I think John's making his point, you're making your point. I think UHIA's position on this, unless you
Maybe
tell
I'll
me
talk about
differently, has been that we believe the consumers ought to be protected. I think that's what puts us in the
No, I'm
most
fine.
favorable light. And then as far as where the percentages fall out, I think we let the individual companies go before the legislature and make their arguments, because we have companies around this table that are 50-50. We have companies around this table that are 75-25. And so I just don't see how the organization can take a stance other than the stance that we've taken, which I think is, I think we have to take this stance that we believe there ought to be a guaranteed association for HMOs. I believe it would be pretty damaging to us as an industry to say, no, we believe that there ought to be an HMO, a guarantee association for the HMO failure. Now, I guess, Doug, what I'd ask you to do is poll the board and see if their opinion is any different than that.
I think we've already taken a position in support of being in the Guarantee Association. Does anyone on the board disagree with that? So I think the board has already supported having HMOs come into the Guarantee Association, but I agree that we do not have consensus on what the respective liability of the HMO should be if they come in.
Hey, Mark, it's Jake. What do you think a 75-25 split here in Utah does to the national compromise with ACLI on 50-50?
Well, I was talking with United about that. I don't know. That's why I don't think the association, and even everything I've said publicly, I said Aetna supports 50-50. It came up in the meeting last week, and Kelly and Ryan, others are sitting there. Like, I was pretty adamant, and so was United, that we need 50-50 because that's the national deal. Now, after the fact, I talked to Dunnigan, and he said, listen, politically, I can't pass 50-50 in this state. Celeste kills it, but I think I can pass 75-25. And what I don't know is if ACLI starts to walk away from a national agreement based on one-off state activity. Because I'll take the other end of the example. Let's say that Kaiser gets its way in Colorado and gets an exemption. Well, does ACI blow up a national conversation because of one powerful HMO in one state or one powerful HMO in another state, right? So I'm not sure how that plays out. I'm going to ask some of my national folks who talk to ACLI about it. But for everybody on the phone, that this is the dilemma we're in as national carriers, is we can't renege on the deal we made nationally, even if it is to our great financial benefit in a particular state.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
So I'm sure we're going to have very interesting Friday discussions as we get into the session and have a specific bill to react to. I wonder how much progress we can make before that.
Well,
And how much it will change during the session.
How much it'll change.
I mean, you know, and we actually, Equitable Life, and we may I'd have to look at Art's numbers, but we may very well be better off
I think
with the 75,
I
25
looked at
split.
yours and I think you are.
Because there's huge dollars on the life side.
Right.
And then if you move, if you're moving, well, not moving, so if our
I
long-
looked at yours and
long-term care
I'm pretty
premium,
sure you're
I
better
think we'd
off,
probably be better off.
like a
But to
lot
me,
better.
I think so. But I think, to me, it just makes more sense. 50/50
No,
makes eminent sense to me,
Yeah.
you know.
Not only you, but there's a lot of others that express that. Mark expressed that, he argued articulately before the committee. But to me, having served in the legislature, I'm just going to tell you, the bottom line on this is Dunnigan's goal is to get HMOs and consumers, HMOs into the Guarantee Association, consumers protected more than they're protected now. It's from his standpoint, it's a sheer political consideration. What's my best chance of making that happen? And the 800-pound gorilla has said, we're not coming in at 50-50. And so he knows that given their political influence in the marketplace, that he can't make that happen unless he makes that concession. And that's what I heard last week. And so I think that's what he's going to do. Now, do I think it's going to end up at 75-25? I doubt it. I doubt it. It might end up at 70-30. I doubt it. But through that process, you know, there's going to be a lot of input,
But
we'll see what happens.
do you understand my point about
I totally understand.
about it's the equation is odd to me. If in the 25%, you're saying it's a long-term care failure, and yet those who wrote long-term care insurance will only be assessed 25% based on a long-term care failure.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
50
True.
makes sense.
Yeah, but I think, and this is the last time I think fun stuff. But Judd, I think that it only doesn't make sense if that carrier only wrote long-term care. Somebody like Genworth, who has a substantial life block, will have to make up that assessment on the life side of the equation.
Yes. That's,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
If you're only a long-term
Ryan
care,
would say-
but here's the thing. Yeah, here's the kicker though, is if you're only a long-term care writer and you're not, and you went insolvent, you're not paying the assessment anyway, right?
No, right. In that case, right. But I mean, if you take us for Equitable, right? I mean, we're a pretty good example. We write life, health. We have written long-term care. So our long-term, in a Genworth failure, our long-term care failure, our long-term care premium will be grouped with health insurance, which is fine. That's the way it should be, at 25%. Right. Now, our long-term care premium is high. So actually, that would be okay. But the life premium is smaller, or, you know, not as, well, I don't know exactly how it shakes out, but you wouldn't, the 75% would not be assessed against, would be assessed against our life only. So it's just strange to me that our long-term care premium for a long-term care failure is not even 50-50.
And if you want to make that argument before
Well, I don't know.
Representative
I'm
Dunnigan,
convincing myself that I would be better
I'm
off.
happy to facilitate that. Mr. Springmeyer, all I'll say is to quote the great Carl Malone, let's not beat a dead horse dead.
Even deader?
That's what he said. Let's not beat a dead horse dead.
I can't imagine anything more important for us to be discussing right now, so I think we should take whatever time we need.
Okay, Mr. President.
It just doesn't logically make sense.
So, we ready to move on?
But,
Don't live in a logic world.
unfortunately, that's true.
It does to me, because the groups that sold it, the companies are the ones,
If it says 25, if you sold it,
well,
it says
but
25%.
it's life that most, I mean, like 90-some% of it is life. Companies that sold it.
That does that product.
So Kelly and Michael, do you want to give us an update on the education conference and how we compare? I think I see that we made $1,000 less this year than we did in the previous year.
That's correct. If you look at the budget page, that's this sheet right here, okay? If you look at the back, Dave wanted an overview of the last few conferences. So in 2000, this is net, okay? This is what we walked away after expenses. So in 2014, we made $38.13. In 2015, we made $49.98. In 2016, we made $39.87. And in 2017, we made $24.63. And that is a result of dropping the fees. The fees were 75. In 2016, we raised them to 90. I thought it was 90 something, 95. And then in 2017, we dropped them down to what, Michael? It was
55.
55. So this was my thinking.
Those
and,
other three were held in January too, weren't they?
no, one was held in December, and the other two were in January, okay? So,
But 15 and 16 were both in January.
15 and 16 were both in January. Now, this was my thinking, and so you can, now you'll hear my logic, okay? My logic was that the commissioner gave us 10,000 agents, the names of 10,000 agents, health agents in the state of Utah. And we sent out 6 emails to 10,000 agents over the period of time. And we did pick up more attendees. We were about 5 higher than the normal that we've been in previous years. Agents, 5 more attended. The total attendees, we had about 5 more that attended. The problem is we lowered the fees, right, to get them in. And so I've done a couple of things based on this, Doug, so for the board's consideration. One of the things, I've talked to the Underwriters Association, and they don't even hold these events anymore because there's so many free online accounts. They're free. They don't charge anything for the CE credit. You just get online and take it. I confirmed that. I found that strange, but with Tommy Osama, that attended, I asked her, and she said, oh yeah, there's any number of free credits, CE credits that you can get for it. So that explains why you could send out 10,000 emails and only get a handful of people that want to come and spend it. And I did get at least 5 emails back saying, when I said what a great deal it was at $55, saying, how can this be a great deal? You can get it free online any place. And so,
Not this though, not our.
No, not the quality that we're producing. You know, there's that. I mean, we just got rave reviews on Sunshine's presentation. Was as good, I think, as any presentation we've had. She did an excellent job. And I heard that from those that attended. She did an excellent job. And for not being in the room, I thought Dr. Thurston did a pretty good job of his explanation, and I think getting the attorney helped too. So, I mean, what we really have to decide is, if we're going to do this primarily for our in-house people, and that's what we've done in 214, 215, and 16 primarily, we did it for our in-house people, then are we going to charge more? And that's what we've done, because they'll pay it. Our companies will pay it, you know, to bring their people in and participate. I don't see us, what this experiment has demonstrated this year is we can't lower the fees to advertise it among the agents and think that we're going to get more
Well,
agents.
part of the problem, though, I think with when we held it is you're in the middle of open enrollment too, right? So that's like probably the worst time of year to do it. So I don't know that you can give it necessarily a fair assessment based on that.
So you think, I mean, do you
Well, I don't know.
no,
but-
I'm just asking, do you think next year we should try to hold it in January, do the same thing?
I don't know.
Keep the rate lower and see if,
I think January's a better.
I don't know. It's hard. I almost wonder if kind of a post-legislative session and do a state update and then something national like Sunshine did and have and so I'm thinking, but the problem is we do our transition here in April, but I'm wondering if that would be a better time to say, okay, here's what happened in the state, and give agents, say, this is what's coming, these bills are gonna go into effect in May or whatever, most of them do, but, and give them an update there, and then have someone give more of a national, but.
I agree with Ryan. I think that in the past, we've used it as a lead up to the legislative session to get legislators or be involved in potential bills, giving them the language and the issues that would come up. Same for the insurance department, their participation there helped as full education to them as well as allowing people to interact with them. If we're not hitting that target audience in the pre-legislative market, then there is, I think, a great opportunity post-legislative to educate agents on what just happened. In addition, I noticed at a past conference, the entire left side of the room was a single law firm, Snow Christensen, that was using it as an opportunity for their entire health law section to get 3 CLE credits for $55. That's a steal in reverse for what lawyers pay for their continuing education credits. So
That's just the one we had?
yeah, I think they had close to 10, maybe 15 folks who were from their area. And so if there's an opportunity where we're looking at inviting more folks or getting, I think the law firms would see it as an excellent,
this year,
an excellent opportunity.
Did you
to hear what
send-
just-
So, yeah, the issue with that is we have to have a minimum of 8 weeks lead time to apply for the CELE credit, and we didn't have that
Did
time.
we market it to
So-
attorneys at all?
we did.
We did,
They marketed
Through
it.
the health law.
right,
Yeah,
Oh, did we?
John took care of that
Oh,
for
okay.
us, and they
Good.
which was
marketed.
great,
Yes.
but we didn't have enough lead time to apply for the credit. It's still pending, it could still
Okay.
actually get
If
approved.
you can advertise it as approved CLE,
Yeah,
Right.
That's
like
That
Travis
would
said,
make a
like
big
for
difference.
CLE credit, it's cheap.
Mhm.
I think one of the problems is you have a lot of sponsors of that, but you can get it free. CLE, you don't have as many, so 3 hours, $55. I mean, most of the commercial ones, you're looking at, you know, a couple $100 for a 3-4 hour course, so.
I'll add on a separate note that for the health law section for practicing attorneys in Utah, the legislative update, which would occur after the session, is generally the largest one attended by the health law section members. And I believe that Mark from Utah Medical Association is the person who presents it. So generally, there's a framing and bills that have been passed that could be slightly more towards the provider or the physician side as opposed to getting the insurer perspective as well.
So I think that's worth a try, because, I mean,
Kelly, I've got a comment when we get a moment. So what you've done if 200 of the agents that out of the 6,000 you said you emailed to, if 200 of those has shown up, couldn't have seated them in the room. We're basically at capacity in our room.
Next year, I think that's correct, and that's why we put, when we advertised, I didn't know what was going to happen, and I put first come, first served, limited seating, okay, for that eventuality. I was hopeful that that was a problem that we would have. That would have been a good problem to deal with. But next year, EMI is building a new building. They will be in that building next year. They'll have more capacity, a lot more capacity. I mean, we could hold, according to Steve Morrison, we could hold 300 in it.
Oh, that's good to know. So next year's leadership can keep that in mind.
Kel, the other thing we talked about was maybe doing a survey with the 10,000 names to say, when is the best time of year for you? So that we could get, from the agent's perspective, the best month of the year to hold a conference in.
Are you guys supportive of that? I mean,
Depends upon whether or not they can turn around and use that email list to their own purposes.
Oh, you blind copy.
Yeah, I blind copy. When I send that out, I send it out through Campaigner, and it's all blind copied. So they can't pick up anyone that I've sent it to. And by the way, that's required by the department. The department, they charged us for that list, and they won't allow us to use it for any other purposes but the educational conference, of which I have to sign that it won't be used. So
I think it's a good idea to market a bit more to lawyers or law firms, and they need CLE, and agents, I mean.
Right, it goes back to who are we holding the conference for, and what are we hoping to achieve out of it?
But our people, you know, the people that come from my office love it. Each year it's a chance to, you know how it is, you get caught up in, and it's a chance to get out and hear from a different perspective on something.
I think we've done well with the presentations. I thought pretty much always been really good. And I thought last year's was really good too. Jake's stuff I thought was good.
Jake did
great.
Yeah.
And we were missing their numbers this year too because of the conflict with NEIC. They, we were down 5 or 6 people because the commissioner and his staff weren't able to come. So that would have put us over 60 if they had been there.
and one of the things I was thinking about driving in today that we could probably do on this that we haven't done for a while, if we go early, we start to ask early, is AHIP has a new president at the helm, a new exec at the helm, and we've never met that person. Where previously the old one was Karen Ignani. Karen came out here a couple, 2 or 3 times,
really?
and I think it would be fascinating to have the new head of AHIP come out, and Sunshine and could assist us in that, along with Leanne. I think both of those could assist in getting them out and having them. I think that would be fascinating.
That'd be great.
Don't you think?
If you could get them. Do you know who the new?
I don't.
Marilyn Tavener.
Yeah. Where's she out of?
I think DC.
That's where she was originally from.
She's Obama's head of.
She's from CMS.
Yeah.
Okay, well, robust discussion of the education conference. Well done again, Kelly and Michael. I thought it all went well, and we appreciate that. I think we've captured all of these ideas for improvement for next year, and we'll discuss those in the spring and summer after the legislative session is over. So are we still good to meet in John's offices at noon on Friday in the legislative session, or do we need to make a change there?
No, we still could, Doug. I've reserved that conference room every Friday and Kelly, you gave me the dates. I think it was from first one would be January 26th.
Right.
The 26th through March 9th, I believe. So yeah, we're still good with that. I mean, it's close up to the hill and so on, so.
So a
We
week before the
appreciate very much.
legislative session.
No, it's a nice spot. And
It is, and it works well to come down off the hill. A week before the legislative session, we'll meet here. And then from that time, Friday on, that's our regular UHIA meeting.
Right,
And then from that time on, we'll meet
the 9th.
every Friday. And of course, for you that need to be online, we'll have you online. Do you want us to do the same as the lunches worked out okay? The way we assess lunches?
I think that's the most fair way, as long as you're okay.
Last year, they voted to have UHIA pay for the lunch.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. We're gonna pay for lunches. That's even better.
That's right. Because we have some money in the
Little,
coffers.
we finally have.
Yeah, because it's one of the ways that we can be fair to our companies. The one thing I've always kind of questioned on that is companies that don't attend and still getting assessed. So some attend by the line, like Mark. And Mark, I know you've really enjoyed those meals, and you pay for it out of your own pocket.
I'm happy to contribute my $47 or whatever.
I know, you're so generous. But I think under Doug's leadership, that was a decision made. Thanks for reminding us of that, Michael.
All right, other items that we need to discuss. I noticed there was an email from Sunshine about the California Drug Transparency Bill, and Pharma has sued to enjoin it.
Correct.
Anyone have any discussion they'd like to have on that, or any other items, or are we ready to adjourn?
What do you think about Representative Thurston's pitch about importing from Canada? It seems odd to me, but
I think he's gonna have I mean, we're the only state in the nation going there. He's made that clear. And even though he doesn't think that there's, in the Commerce Clause, there's any problem with it, I'm hard pressed to believe that he's going to be able to pull that off, but we'll see what happens. But you know what I'm happy about? I'll just tell you what I'm really happy about. Every drug company in the whole world is going to be here in Utah pounding away at that, and they're not going to be drafting therapy bills or anything else. So, you know,
it diverts
their attention to and all I want to say is thanks, Norm. You know, because usually they're sitting in their little rooms figuring out how they can poke us. So I'm glad to have that bill, because I think they will be worried about that bill.
This is Mark. I totally agree, Kelly, with your assessment. One thing I found out last year when you mess with Pharma's distribution channels, we did something in Texas. Just a heads up for anybody who has a contract lobbyist in the state, they will try and hire every contract lobbyist in the entire state. So you might want to have a quick conversation about conflicts. It became a big deal in Texas last year. So anyway, it's just a funny thought that, yes, they will fill the Capitol with every hired gun they can, for sure.
It's not like they can't afford it.
Well, another thing that occurred to me as I was listening to Representative Thurston's presentation through Skype or whatever, it seems like you'd have to get, because it will be international trade, right? So it seems like you would need to get federal. It's not only state law that would, but federal law will have to.
That's the Commerce Clause of the Constitution.
The Commerce Clause or
Well, and you would think the FDA would want to have some say over drugs that are coming in and out of
you would think.
the country.
So even if it passes at the state level, I would think you've got to get approval from Congress.
It's going to be immediately challenged if it were to pass, I'm sure. But I'm just happy that we're playing, that he's rolled out that bill.
A little offense going on.
Yeah, a little offense. Especially against those guys. You know, In fact, I think it was you, Doug, that said, with everything that's going on with the opioid addiction, that they moved off step therapy.
Well, we understood that their sponsor last year had declined to sponsor this year, so at least that's the case. So Hutchings, I don't think, is willing to sponsor that piece of legislation. Well, I appreciate everybody attending. I need to jump off. Thanks very much. Good meeting, and we'll see you in January.
And there's just one thing, Doug, before you leave that I want to do. Michael and I really appreciate working with you guys, and we just as a small token of our appreciation, we've got a $25 gift card for you, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, whatever applies. But we just thoroughly appreciate the opportunity to work with UHIA, and you guys are so great to work with, and it's been a great relationship. So we just want to express our appreciation through some small token. So I'll have her mail this to you, Doug.
And Mark too, I hope.
Yeah, no, Mark can't have this because he needs diapers.
Yeah.
But Mark, it's a $25 gift card at Walmart, so you can run right down there and get some diapers. Yeah, we'll mail it to everybody that's not here.
Mark, when was the baby born?
August 1st, about 4 months old.
Wow.
Congratulations, Mark. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to sign off.
Thanks, guys.
Photo, Mark.
Hey, thanks, Kelly.
Great, great meeting.
Before everybody else goes, we didn't talk about items for the commissioners meeting.
Yeah, we'll do that next month. We'll hold this meeting for them, won't we?
No. The
When-
commissioner meeting's on the 17th and this is on the 19th next month, so. Because we
Do we
remember,
want to do both
we
so
bumped the
close, or
commissioner
can we
meeting.
combine? If we're going to meet commissioners,
Well, we won't hold this meeting. We'll just start with the Friday ones, right?
No, we will hold this meeting.
Yeah,
well,
this
but it'd be
meeting,
after, that's what I'm saying. Could we do it? even
When's the
if-
commissioner meeting?
we bumped it back a week,
to the
remember?
17th?
Because normally it's the fourth Wednesday, but the session
So are we gonna
starts.
do the third,
So
or are we just
have it on
gonna
the
do the
17th.
first Friday one with the legislature?
No, because that's a week after, and I thought that would be a nice lead into the legislative session.
So you want me to schedule for here on what day
Because the
is
session
it?
will meet on Friday, and the session will start on Monday.
On Monday,
So you
right.
want me to schedule this for the 19th?
Could we get it on the
Yeah, that's
19th?
fine.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that, or could
Then
we,
the
if we're
commissioners
going to
meeting
meet?
is on the 17th.
Right, so if we meet with the UID on the 17th, could we even convene, do it at the same time? That way, in the interest of people's schedules or whatnot. But I don't know, if we need a separate meeting.
I'm not opposed to doing that.
Can we
I
see
mean,
if they'll
you
let
guys-
us use their room?
Yeah.
If you'll ask that.
That's what I mean,
like
just stay a little bit later
Yeah, that's what
afterwards and
he's
talk
saying.
about, and then
we'll have everybody on
another
the phone that
meeting
wants.
in 2
That
weeks.
week
at our
after,
place
anyway, yeah.
Right, and then 10 days later, we'll
Yeah,
be having the
that
first
makes some
legislative meeting.
sense to do that. So we
All
probably
right,
get a few items down though for the,
Yeah.
certainly their bill. We haven't,
Brad's supposed to send out the summary of the bill.
right. No, I don't know that anyone's had a chance to go through it yet, so we can put that on there and see if we have some questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said that he was gonna work on something. Maybe early.
Well, he said he had a little summary. Not it's complete yet, but he said he did have sort of a little summary he was willing to send out already, so. And something you can post it on their website.
Michael, I have one.
Okay.
It's the NEIC health carrier prescription drug model. The insurance department alluded that with the NEIC considering it for final adoption, that UConn may look at it after the legislative session. But I'd like to gauge on how serious the insurance department is. We put resources into looking at it. We do. I'm not even sure what it says. Prescription drug. I think it's a health carrier act.
To allow a health insurer to be a prescription insurer.
Oh.
Yeah. Right, I mean, that's what they said, is
Is Mark still on the phone?
I don't know, Mark?
Is this the Aetna CVS sort of thing?
Yeah, what? What's up?
Do you have any, familiarity with that NAIC model? I don't know if I guess you weren't at the meeting. In our meeting with the department, they said that they're looking at a model act to allow insurers to be a prescription drug manager. Are you aware?
So, I don't know anything about it from the CVS stuff, but I do know touch about it just from following NAIC work. There is a PBM model act being revised, and so some states require an insurance license to be a PBM, others do not, and they're just trying to get some uniformity on that front. I don't know if Sunshine or anybody in the room has good contacts at PCMA, the PBM trade, but if you do, they can give you all the updates in the world on the NAIC model stuff on PBMs.
Yeah, I'm here, and Bob Ridgway from AHIP is closely involved on the NAIC work. We were really involved on the PBM work group. I think the model is done now, and we weren't super happy with how it came out, but I think everyone is so glad that it's over. But yeah, I work really closely with PCMA and can try to, get any information you guys need from them as well.
Is you, Sunshine?
Yeah, sorry, I've been on mute.
Okay. Did you hear the core reviews you got at the educational conference?
I did, thank you.
Okay. Do we have anything else? Okay. We're done.
Kelly?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure. Happy to do it.
See you, Mark.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
Sunshine.
Have a great Christmas.
Hey, Mark, how's that baby doing?
Good. Currently getting his diaper changed right behind me, so I'll get on the home front.
You need to send us a photo.
I'll send you one
I
after the
haven't
diaper.
Send me a.
Yeah, that would be preferable.
Yeah.
I can tell you that.
All right.
Well, that's what it's in there.
Now we're officially adjourned.
Okay, we're adjourned. So,
You're adjourned?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
You're all right. Sorry,
This
You
is
missed-
Brad, he's one of the attorneys in our office.
Oh, great.
You
I thought
missed
we
all
were doing
the.
MD Live.
Oh,
Oh, no, I think that's.
Okay, I apologize.
Okay.
no problem. Don't apologize at all.
Are they still?
Okay, Michael, write down.
See you guys later.
We need to send a card to Mike.
No, I think we're excluding that at this point. You were just talking about your marketing material. So our concern about explicitly talking about inventory essentially acknowledges that we've already printed and are using materials that were unapproved. So we would appreciate the opportunity to finesse that by simply getting her to approve the documents as submitted and wait until January to really talk about how we would change documents going forward. So what I was intending to do was essentially go forward with the proposal that I had earlier in the day yesterday, take Chris up on the agreement to approve the documents that she's already reviewed without changes, and then wait until January to discuss the changes and then you'd be in a position to say, well, since you gave the approval, we still have 500 documents in inventory. Are you okay if we finish using those, but we promised going forward, we would use the now modified approved document that we've discussed with you today? This would be the conversation you would have in January.
And so in the meantime, the Ross team wouldn't have any materials to use.
No, you would use the documents as submitted, just like you'd be using the documents you already have in inventory.
Okay. I'm gonna go with whatever you guys decide to do.
Great. We're fine. The relationship we have with Idaho is very much individual based. It's very much a one-on-one kind of trust. Nalani's going to be in a face-to-face meeting with Chris on Tuesday, and I'm confident that during that meeting, we can get the approval to use the documents in their current form. And then come January, you can have the conversation to discuss the changes that you've already indicated will be no problem to be made. And then we can go forward from that point without forcing her to confront the fact that we're already using unapproved documents, which is a conversation I frankly don't want to have with her.
Okay.
Now, Lily, you've got some comments on a separate document. Is that the summary of benefits?
That is correct, yes, thank you. So you received 3 comments from Chris on the summary of benefits. The summary of benefits, has been approved and filed with CMS. It was actually already previously approved by the state before we went to print and before we filed it. So we received their approval, and now that they've had the opportunity to review it again, now they're finding some additional changes. So we're kind of in a situation where the way the language is presented in the summary of benefits, it matches what we filed in the bid. She had 3 comments total. 2 of the 3 comments, we have responses to where we think we can make accommodations for them or wait for her to respond to them. But there was 1 comment specifically on how we display the drug benefits, the Part D drug benefits, which I don't know yet if we can make that change. I need to speak with the team here internally as well as pharmacy and compliance before we can make that change because it contradicts how we filed the bid. I don't know if we would be able to get CMS's permission to make that change. And then also finally, the summary of benefits has to match the evidence of coverage book. So those 2 pieces need to be in alignment. The state already approved the evidence of coverage book as well. So we would need to then make changes to that and refile those with CMS, which we don't know if we would be allowed to do. So that's kind of the situation that we have here with the summary of benefits and then subsequently the DOC. So I'm trying to get a meeting set up early next week with the Medicare team on how we would be able to address how we represent the Part D benefits and materials.
Good. So we concur that these were previously approved and that you're free to include those in the enrollment kit and to continue to use those documents in their current form. I think in January, it'll be an appropriate time to talk about changes and how long it would take to submit those to CMS and get approval on any changes that are recommended. I think that would be a good trial run as you go forward in the future. Is that workable for you, Lily, and workable for marketing?
So for the UC and SC, that timeline works for me because that'll give us the opportunity to have discussions internally on how we want to manage those changes. And also it will give us some time to outreach to our CMS reviewer as well to see if it's even a possibility.
Elizabeth or Kathleen, any comments on that approach?
No, that works. I mean, we wouldn't reprint until those pieces that go in the enrollment kit are ready to print anyway.
Great.
So we'll have to work with that timeline.
So was it you, Lily, that raised the issue that New Jersey had been able to work in a similar FIDE context to get CMS to make some modifications? So Lily, for your information, Chris at Idaho Department of Health and Welfare has represented to us that that very process has occurred with regard to Blue Cross's materials. So Blue Cross has been in the FIDE market for a number of years, and she's indicated to us that CMS has approved customized materials for their FIDE offering. So I know that Idaho will be receptive to that process, and I'm sure we can learn more about that in January. And once we've got the current approval crisis resolved, I think we can begin to reach out to IDHW to ask them to share with us examples of any of the custom documents that they've used in the Blue Cross environment in the past. Great. So we've taken that as an action item as we work with IDHW. So let me restate what I believe the approach is that I'm recommending. So we're going to have Milani meet with Chris face-to-face on Tuesday, essentially take her up on her offer to approve the existing documents without modifications, and confirm that come January, we'll discuss all of these and other issues and make sure that we don't get in the same position in the future. We will already know the changes that she wants to these specific documents, and we'll be prepared in January to offer up the changes that she recommends. If there are already custom documents from Blue Cross, that may perhaps modify what we propose and what Chris is going to approve, but at least it sounds like we're not going down a dead end that's going to cause long-term issues for marketing, which I know I was very concerned about, and Kathleen and Elizabeth, you certainly voiced those concerns appropriately. But is that course of action acceptable to everybody on the call? I consider that a very friendly suggestion, and I think that would be entirely appropriate. So if we can get the agreement on Tuesday, then between then and the meeting in January, it would be entirely appropriate to say, okay, Chris, we think these are the changes to this document that might satisfy your concerns. Do you agree? And if we can get all of that behind us, then so much the better. Kathleen, is that, did I understand you correctly? Couldn't agree more. And to the extent that Lisa's concerns about inappropriately colluding with Blue Cross could be satisfied, and if she was willing to authorize having our marketing people speak with Blue Cross directly, I know that Blue Cross would be receptive to that. We have just shut off that because we understood that that was not approved by corporate leadership. So know that we can certainly facilitate your direct interaction with Blue Cross to the extent that Melina deems that to be appropriate. What materials they had customized. You know, if there's no value in talking to them directly, so be it. But I just wanted to make sure you know that Blue Cross is interested and willing if Melina deems it to be appropriate. So it's only an offer. I'm not pushing it or suggesting it, but just so you know that those contacts are available if you deem it to be appropriate and get permission to use those. Thank you so very much for the rapid response to the snafu or the glitch, I think as Lisa called it. Expect to hear from us Tuesday or Wednesday morning at the latest, hopefully with the good news that the glitch is resolved and we can begin moving forward, and we appreciate all your cooperation. I have not. So do you think you can confirm that on Tuesday? Yes, let me down the date on Tuesday. So I know that I've seen the emails to Chris. I'm assuming that she probably wants to include Ali Fernandez, who is key to this program also. And Ali's been out of town for an extended period, so we apologize that we haven't been able to get a clear response back from IDHW, but we're hoping that if not before on Tuesday, we can firm that up. Okay, let's make sure it's clear that if you're ever in Salt Lake for skiing, I'm your tour guide. Take care. Yeah, really, really, really great to work with. But, we'll get by. Clearly, Kathleen and Lisa have the same thought about collaborating. So let's run through the model conversation with Chris. I'm Chris. Can you keep sending me these junk materials? Oh, Chris, I'm so sorry. You know, we try our best, but sometimes we fail, and obviously we failed really, really terribly. However, I have to You're gonna remove that tomorrow and print new documents, and that's what your team will be using?
Actually, that is what's probably gonna happen. I'm glad you brought that up, because as you know, I wanted to, you asked us to pull a federal regulation on some of the stuff.
The approach I would take with her is, we really want to take you up on the offer to approve the documents we've already submitted. Given the size of our organization, it takes some time to get the battleship turned around. As an example, we've got a commitment that we can make this change to this document. It would be so much easier for us if we could confirm between now and January that we've made the change. For now, is it possible that we could take you up on your offer, just to approve these documents on a one-time basis, and then we can move on? I wouldn't even get into the regulation unless she asks for it. You're gonna want to have the regulation there, you're gonna want to have Elizabeth's email, you're gonna want to have the revised document. So depending upon what Chris wants, but I would start out as simple as possible to start with. And our ultimate goal is to get out of there with permission to use the documents we're already using. Out of the we're already using.
Well, the look of it, didn't understand was that you were working between the lines. I wonder if that's part of the problem. I don't think you understand. I really don't think you understand.
Do you agree, Lorena, that the approach?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you'll do a few. I'll practice. Oh, that's
You don't have to practice. Your instincts are what will guide you, and you build up such a rapport with Chris that she trusts what you say. Now, do not jeopardize your relationship with Chris. Do not feel tempted to mislead her or to something that you can't feel good about. So nobody's asking you to do something that goes against your instincts. But if we get out of there, what we're looking for is so much better. Okay. And if you think it would be better for me to put this in an email and send it to her before, I'm happy to do that.
I think just having that one-on-one with her, talking to her about this, and then, letting her know that we're going to have,
The executive suite downtown in Boise, and we'll have staff there. So that would be issue 2. So you resolve the key issue in being there. Issue 2 would be, you know, I love working with you remotely, Chris, but you may find that it's frustrating that you don't have more face-to-face opportunities either with me or with our staff. Going forward, do you think our current model for government contracts is okay? And as long as we're in Idaho frequently, can we be based in Utah? Obviously, our care managers is a different issue, but I just wanted to kind of, since we're your key contact, is it workable for you that I'm in Utah as a home base and only in Idaho as needed? And just kind of have that conversation. We do have approval to hire a new person, subject to,
I was just going to say, one of the things that came up, and I'm so glad we're getting a location, even though it's, you know, it's executive suite, because people get asking us, where are you located in Idaho? Where are you? The other thing we need to do and work on is.
and you've shared that with us.
Yes, I did. I reported that to him. Is we need to get cards that say Idaho. We need to get business cards.
Was Rob called like these?
Oh, he's getting the cards, so we need to get cards. Even if they say Utah and Idaho, but we need to have the word Idaho. Everyone is very sensitive about that. So we need to order that ASAP. Because when I go out there in January. I've been using my old
you and for Jason and for me. Yes, Krista worked on that.
Oh, I can.
Okay, thanks, Lorena. So we're on at 10:30. The meeting that Elizabeth is not invited to.
Yeah, she's not invited to it. I had a Freudian, hey, Freudian, so I have a block in my recall. I'm like, no, we're not invited to the meeting.
We're not thinking.
Yeah.
Jason. So Angie, are you the calling user? Yeah, you are listed as the calling user, so looks like we've got Jason, Angie, Nalani, and Doug. Is that right, Nalani? So, for number two, for purposes of the minutes, let's just indicate we've got consensus on an approach with marketing, and that Nalani will make contact to Chris. On the Help in the Hand app, that was presented to the sponsor meeting yesterday, and the sponsor meeting approved using that in Idaho. So going off agenda, Nalani, let me bring everyone up to date on the Idaho Medicaid Plus draft contract. If you go through it very carefully, it's clear that the drafting left some gaps where it's unclear whether or not specific provisions in the statement of work for MMCP are or are not applicable. Carl Gardner brought this to my attention yesterday. It was raised in sponsor meeting that it would be to our, well, pardon me, I should go back. Prior to the sponsor meeting, we had obtained approval from Peter Adler to have Carl Gardner to begin work with BCI's attorney, Chris Jenkins. And through that process, it's become clear that the contract needs to be converted into what we refer to as a standalone document. So we'll take the cut and paste out of attachment A that clearly should be part of the Medicaid Plus draft contract and have it be a standalone document so that you don't have to go back and forth with attachment A. And we've got permission to work with BCI on that. Chris at IDHW has agreed that that approach is satisfactory with them, and we'll probably be meeting next week with IDHW to begin to go over that. So you can expect that the draft Idaho Medicaid Plus contract is going to change in appearance significantly in the next 7 days. So, for example, if you go through the performance metrics, it's unclear whether 3 of them that are not referenced in the document for the Medicaid Plus contract, but are in the statement of work. So normally, if it's not referenced in the Medicaid Plus contract, it doesn't apply. We just don't think that it's possible that Chris intended the credentialing performance indicator to be left out. So that's an example of the kind of thing that we want to get clarified. Any additional questions on the draft contract? I'm already working on that. I'll have a draft out to you and to Susan probably Saturday or Sunday that you can react to, and we should be able to get something to Lisa very early, but it'll have to be caveated that given the apparent gaps in the drafting of the document Chris sent us, it's going to be conceivably changed to some extent, but we'll do the best we can with what we've got. Right, so at that meeting, we'd go down and say, okay, Chris, we could read this document to exclude these 3 requirements. Did you really intend that? Yes or no? And hopefully by the time we're finished, we'll know exactly what Chris intended to come from attachment A into the new attachment B, so that attachment B doesn't have any gaps like it does right now. So I think that's a subsequent meeting. This meeting, I think, will just be strictly focused on how do we get attachment B to be a standalone document, and what is it that you intend IDHW comes from attachment A into attachment B. There would then be a subsequent meeting where we would begin to talk about how do we improve attachment B once we know what attachment B really should look like. To be determined. gotta have it by midday tomorrow or it's not gonna be included. Appreciate that, Brandon, that's absolutely critical. Okay, let's go back up to anything on the project plan, Brand? So Grant, let me pitch a little bit about the 834. So